This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Oh, isn't that hair fabulous? Broadcasting live from the new hotspot on Fort Myers Beach, Wahoo Willie'S. It's time for another exciting award-winning episode of Beach Talk Radio. Here are your humble hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
And a good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Wahoo Willie'S. Thank you very much. We have a nice big live studio audience here. It's nice to see everybody in their yellow shirts. And we have such a special guest, one of the owners of Wahoo Willie'S. You're on. I got to turn that down a little, get some feedback. So introduce our guest here.
Go
ahead.
Well, we know Nick from Wahoo Willie'S, from
Snug Harbor.
And then we have, of course, now from the Lions Club,
Drew. We just call him Drew.
Good morning.
You didn't let me build it up.
So, Nick, I have a question for you. What is the year of that pickup truck that you drive around?
Last century.
No, seriously, what year is it?
Last century.
Like every time
That's last century.
It's 1999. Every time I see Nick driving around in his pickup truck, I hear the theme to Sanford and Son in the background. Like,
you've got 2 minutes. Don't waste his time.
It's up like your
now.
pickup truck is leaning backwards for some reason. I mean,
Full load.
I see.
Yeah.
What do you got in the back of that thing there?
I had a load of ice yesterday.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Nice. Heavy ice. Really heavy ice.
He's not going
It's
to
true.
give you anything to go
He's
with.
not. He's just.
Hey, the truth is easy.
Yeah. It's like he's in a court of law or something. So, Drew, the Shrimp Festival would have been on March 11th and 12th.
Right. Yeah.
And it would have been the 65th annual Shrimp Festival.
This would have been 65. Yeah.
Crazy.
Wow. 65. Yep.
And I don't know if anybody has seen Lynn Hall Park, but it's not going to be a Shrimp Festival
It's
this
not
year.
gonna happen, yeah.
No.
And do you think there'll be a Shrimp Festival next year?
Oh man, yeah, that's what we're working for too. So we'd filed paperwork for the permit the week before. I mean, that's how early we start. So we're looking forward to next year, and we're still accepting applications. So if folks that vendors that want to come next year, I mean, put your name in. Let us know you want to come back, and we're we'll reach out as soon as we get 100%. But yeah, like we said, there's a lot of work.
Now, we couldn't let it go by without saying it. We always have Bernard. We had Bernard on for so many
Mr.
years to talk about the Lions Club, and he would come in wearing his yellow penny, and he came to our house. I don't know, 2 weeks after the storm, he came to our house to buy one of the yellow shirts that you're all wearing. Unfortunately, he got COVID and passed away like a month later. And it was like, can anything worse happen that has happened to Fort Myers Beach? Such a nice guy, and they were such a great couple.
I think he was the first one that came on the show with the shrimp hat.
That's right.
And then he just kept hounding him for shrimp hats.
I want a shrimp hat. I want a shrimp hat.
Our shrimp hats.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll be able to bring those back.
Yeah, and of course the shrimp hats. But yeah, Bernard's a great example of some of the fantastic people that are on the beach and that really love to keep this community alive. And he's also just a great symbol of the Shrimp Festival too.
Yep.
And it's a community event, and all the proceeds go back to community. Which just it's a reminder. And there's part of that community is the shrimpers themselves, right? That's all local shrimp that we buy. Erickson and Jensen, donate shrimp. I mean, we sold 1,200 pounds of shrimp in shrimp dinners last year.
And you had the shrimp eating contest, which is totally
Yes.
gross
That
to
was
see those
100
people
pounds
wolfing
right
down
there.
that shrimp right there.
I like that one.
You did?
Yeah.
Thanks for
It's
joining
good.
us for the interview today. I appreciate you interjecting something like that.
Man, it's tough. He's tough over here. Yeah,
He's tough
So-
on him.
So you're not going to have the Shrimp Festival, but on March 12th, we are kind of planning an event, right,
Yeah.
Nick?
Well, an event. We're just trying to. I think Darby came up with it. 65 and keep it alive.
Yeah, it would have been
Right.
65. So, but yeah.
Yeah, 65 and keep it alive.
And so what is that going to entail?
Someone's got to make a T-shirt.
Okay. So actually, there are more details than that, Nick. So, so let me fill everybody in. The goal is to try and get all the restaurants on Fort Myers Beach to go and buy some local shrimp. And for folks that are coming down on that weekend to buy the local shrimp, maybe Root Shrimp or La Ola or here in Snug Harbor and whoever else is open, and then maybe get a portion of the sales to go to the shrimpers.
Yeah, so the Shrimp Festival, like we're saying, raised a lot of money for the local community. There's college scholarships, and there's folks that I've met. I'm new here, but 65 years is a long time. There's guys that work here that got a scholarship when they were younger. There's so it's a big reach. So it's going to be small. We're going to do what we can do, but come on down and maybe we'll be able to figure out a way to raise. We're putting it together. Nick's got some great ideas.
And we just actually put it together this morning on this clipboard. This piece of paper has all the details on it.
This is like your John Madden thing.
So stay tuned. But that weekend, save the date.
March 12th.
March 12th. But come down the whole weekend.
And there's going to be music at the end of the day at Moss Marie.
Right.
That Stephen Clark is. Did I say that right? Is it Stephen Clark is working on? So, anything else, Drew?
Well, I guess that's it. Yeah, come down, get ready to eat, find some
March 11th.
So it'll be
to 12th.
similar to the shrimp festival where it'll be like peel and eat shrimp.
Well, no, it's up to the restaurants, right?
I would say everyone do something different.
Yeah.
And as many people as we can visit,
Okay.
they can be visited. I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
So,
Nick, I have to say you've been one
We
of the
could
most
set up
riveting
a
guests
stand.
we've had so far this year. So I appreciate you coming on and having
We
us
could
here.
set up a
it's a
stand.
short spell. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, don't get used to what he says. Yeah.
All right.
It's going to be even shorter next time. I have.
Thank you for coming on.
He's gonna.
No,
All right.
I appreciate it. And I think we can update things next week and the week after because we got 3 weeks from today.
3 weeks from today.
Yep,
All right.
that's
Thanks
it.
for coming on,
And
Drew.
you'll
And
figure
Nick
out
from
the T-shirt.
Nick is on
With
there.
your help.
Nick,
Oh,
of course.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Everything.
appreciate the help. Hey,
Thank
thanks
you.
for
Big
getting the word
hand
out.
for
Yeah.
Nick and Drew coming down from the
got
Lions
both these
Club
now.
and the
Hey.
Shrimp Festival. There you go. There you
Thank
go.
you.
Big hand. All right. Now our official guest for the show, Howard Cosell's son, Michael Cosell, is going to come on. Actually, do you remember? Have you ever heard of Howard Cosell?
Howard Cosell.
Yeah. Oh,
Here,
look at that.
come on.
You're going to sit in this chair next to the wife. And you are an attorney at law.
I am.
So give everyone your creds here.
My creds. Born and raised South Florida. I've been practicing first-party property insurance law for 10 years. I am currently, as a result of a fever dream during COVID, I'm currently actually back in law school getting my master's of law in
Mhm.
insurance law. I instruct all over the state on issues of construction and valued policy law, which is what occurs when total losses happen, case law updates, and I keep a blog actually of all newly released case law. So I'm kind of the biggest law nerd that I know.
Okay, so I have no idea what you just said, but
Well,
are you an
They were
attorney?
words.
Are
I
you
am an attorney.
Okay, good. As long as
I
we
am a
know that you're an
licensed
attorney.
but now I'm getting
I
another
see.
license just to,
It's like a specialty.
it's a
Wow.
specialty, right?
So how?
So where did you go to school
Yeah.
originally?
Good
I
question,
went,
Drew.
I went
Slow
to Muhlenberg College in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and
ah,
then I went
Whoa.
to Florida International University School of Law.
I went to Allentown once. I had a job interview at a radio station in Allentown, and I wasn't hired. I mean, it's like the smallest radio market in America, and I couldn't get a job there. That's how bad I was.
I tried to get a job with the Muhlenberg radio station. They
Really?
wouldn't hire me. So
Did
my
they-
story is even more pathetic than
Wait,
yours.
they have a radio
Wow.
station in Muhlenberg,
WMUH, the Mule.
and they play what? They have like horse reports and cow reports and farm reports.
Hey.
And what?
It's not an ag school.
No,
it's,
no,
it's
it's
a
an.
liberal arts school.
So
they
how-
just talk about liberal arts stuff.
You went. How many years did it take you to get a law degree?
6?
3 years.
There.
Wow.
Why don't you let him answer the questions I ask him? If I
Well,
wanted
I
to
just
He
ask
was
you,
assumed
gonna
I failed the
guessing.
first time and had to start over from the beginning.
so it took you how many years? 3.
3 years.
How
3-year
much
degree.
did it cost you?
You
Well,
know, FIU is actually a public school, so it was pretty inexpensive compared to some of my.
Oh, so
my
Biden gave you all the
colleagues.
money back. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no.
I see.
No, Hurricane Irma gave me all the money back.
So okay, so how?
but you got a first degree and then the law degree, right? The
Well,
law degree was 3.
Right. I did 4 years undergrad.
Right. That's what I'm
I
saying.
did
That was
3
my
years.
6.
Yeah,
I was
3 years
giving
in law
you.
school, and now another 3 getting my master's. So it'll be 10 years of university.
So where do you
education.
practice?
I practice all over the state of Florida. We're based in Hollywood,
Okay. And how do you know you're here with our crew here, like Mike Bannock and Greg and the whole?
I was brought over by Mark Dorston. Dorston Claims.
Yeah, the whole.
He's not only a fantastic public adjuster, but
wait.
a
The rule was
contractor.
every time you said his name, everyone had to
cheer
do a
for me.
shot. Everyone had to do a shot.
I'll take
There's
my
going
shot
to be
of
some
water.
pretty hammered people
That's
here
right.
at breakfast.
Woo.
So
Yeah, well hydrated.
I forgot the question I asked you. What was it again?
So how did he
How
get
did we get
involved
over-
over
Oh, I
here?
see. So Mark introduced us and said we should have you on the show because you must be helping people that have issues with the storm.
Absolutely. So our area of practice solely relates to property damage claims against insurance companies. So, we've gotten an influx of Hurricane Ian claims coming in so far, but it's the only area of law we've practiced. I've done it for 10 years. I'm contractually obligated to tell you that of Cassell and Cassell, my law firm, my wife is the first Cassell.
Uh-huh.
She's been doing this area of law for 15 years.
Wow.
I've been doing it for 10 years.
Why isn't she on the show?
Well, unfortunately, she was elected as a state house representative.
Oh, she's
Nice.
wow.
So she's
Look at
busy
you.
legislating right now, but it certainly allows us to keep our ear to the ground.
This is
with all
a
of the new
power
legislation.
couple.
No kidding.
Yeah. So you've been doing this. You guys have been doing this for a while. What was the first storm or the first big event that you sort of helped folks out with?
Well, I actually started on the defense side. Both of us did. And we were representing insurance carriers. The first case I ever worked on my first day as a lawyer was a Hurricane Wilma claim.
Okay.
So I've been dealing with storms dating back to 2005, the date of loss, not the date of my law school graduation. But Hurricane Irma occurred in 2017, and my wife and I decided to start our own firm at that time, and we were able to help hundreds of policyholders then recover tens of millions of dollars from insurance carriers.
So you started off on the other side,
Absolutely.
learned all of that stuff, and then flipped to the other side, and then you're able to use that information.
Absolutely. I think it is one of the most important things to be able to see both sides of any
Yeah.
argument. And especially in the area of law, when you can anticipate what the
Oh,
other
yeah,
side's
it
going to
certainly
argue.
gives you a leg up.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
And the other thing that you really learn doing defense work for insurance companies is how to report back to clients and how to make sure the clients are updated constantly, because insurance adjusters, they want to know what's going on.
Mhm.
Most times when we're dealing with homeowners or property owners, they're not sure how to approach the attorney. Sometimes they'll email,
Right.
but we like to keep our clients fully updated because we think it's really important the client
Well, I
knows
think
what's
it's
going on.
easy for people to be intimidated in this process, and even not intimidated by their representation, but not really know, like, hey, they're getting paid, you're getting paid, so you can call them, you can ask them a question. They'll take the time. I mean, time is money, but you'll take the time and get back with them.
It's a very difficult process to be uprooted from your home. So what I like to tell my clients is I am a proxy for your grief. You share all your grief with me, and then I'll take that and use that as fuel against the insurance company. And that's when I tend to maybe get a little angrier.
So
than
let
I
me
should.
ask you this.
Well, you're kind of a big guy. You can't be getting too angry up in there. You're going to really scare the crap out
Oh,
of
I'm
people.
not like Hulk smash big, but
Well, how much do you weigh?
I weigh about
Wow.
300.
You weigh 300 pounds?
You
I
do
do.
not look
Wow.
I know. I
What are you,
always
six-
win at
you
the
carry it
carnivals.
so well.
At the carnivals,
where
I
they do the
always win the
guessing?
guess your weight
Because
game.
you hit the bell thing? Is that what you mean?
No, the guess your weight thing.
I walk up, they say, "Oh, you weigh about 215." I say, "No,
You
give
really
me the
weigh,
prize
what are
now.
you, 6'5"?
6'3".
6'3", 300 pounds. You could be like a professional
Yeah.
wrestler.
I could be.
Yeah.
I wanted to.
You
be
know
at
where
one
you should
point.
go on that Steve Austin show that he does on the
Broken Skull
If you can
Ranch.
Ranch.
get me on the
Challenge.
Broken Skull sessions, I will.
You really
happily,
have
but
some people up there, man. You go for the bell and the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, so I have a question for you. Why is it such a challenge? Like when people have to pay their insurance and send the checks to the insurance company, there's never really any haggling. The insurance company takes the check and they put it in their account, and everything goes on merrily. And then a storm comes through and totally destroys people's homes, and they need an attorney. Why? It's not right.
Well, insurance is a very complicated business, and you kind of touched on it a little bit. What they do is they take your money with the promise that when you need it, they'll give it back. But then when you ask for it back, they say, well, it's our money now. So why do you need an attorney? Because insurance companies make money by not paying claims.
Mhm.
If they paid all of the claims, they wouldn't have any money. And unfortunately, there are some really good insurance companies that have gone insolvent in the state because they were paying claims and they were trying to do right. And, the business model just wasn't working for them. They got unlucky with some claims in other states. But quite frankly, the only way to deal with a complicated contract, which is what an insurance policy is, it's not a one-page document.
No.
It's a 60, 70, 80
that nobody
100
reads
page document that nobody reads. I read them all the time. I love them. But people don't realize that in order to deal with such a complicated subject matter, they need professional help.
But do you also see how unfair it is to people who've lost their homes? The flood guy is saying it was the wind guy. The wind guy is saying it was the flood guy. And then they need an attorney. They're going to go completely broke just trying to put the pieces of their lives back together.
Well, fortunately, as it relates to the Hurricane Ian claims, there is still the legacy of a Florida statute that allows for the recovery of attorney's fees directly from the insurance carrier.
Which is different now.
You're
Which
right.
is
They just
different
passed
now.
legislation
Right.
that DeSantis signed. And is that a good thing or not a good thing?
It's not a good thing for you.
Well,
For
Depends on who you
I,
ask.
I actually disagree. I don't think it affects me all that much. I think it affects the homeowners.
right.
I think
It's
it
not-
affects the homeowners who now have to pay huge portions of their claims, which they need to
Mhm.
repair their homes.
Mhm.
And now they're going to be out 30%. 40%,
Okay, so what
or
we're
even more
talking
than
about
that.
is legislation where the insurance company doesn't have to cover the attorney's fees. That was just
correct.
and they were just
Because in
ballyhooing
the
that, and the
past-
legislature and the governor signed it like it was no big deal.
In the past, you would get hired, and then did people have to pay first, or it was on?
It's
insurance
all on
company.
Successful,
contingency.
right,
Yeah.
right. So
We
now,
don't get paid unless they get paid.
right, and now that's off the table,
Yeah.
correct?
Not for Hurricane Ian claims.
No,
But moving forward,
going
yes.
forward, yeah.
So, what is the biggest question people ask you related to the storms?
Well, usually it's my weight, so we've already taken care of that one.
Okay,
But related to
315.
the storms, the biggest question is always, how do we differentiate between wind versus flood?
Okay, how do we?
Well, you have to hire a professional. You have to hire someone who has adjusting experience, like Mark Dorston from Dorston Claims.
Take a shot.
There's more water coming your
Shots
way.
coming.
But,
Well, okay,
a guy like Mark
right.
has
Okay, so
experience
here's-
as a flood
right.
and a wind
So
adjuster.
here's another thing that people didn't realize until we met people like Mark. Like, the insurance company will write you a check and give you a smile, and you think you got a check. Meanwhile, they probably didn't write you a big enough check. So now you have to go hire a. Nobody even knew anything about stuff like this until this storm came through. Then you got hires. No offense. Thank God he's there, and other people like him are there, so that now they go back after the insurance company. But you don't get charged until the extra money comes in. Then there's a percentage of that. So
And
you're never, if they write you a fast check, you have to think you're never getting enough
but
money,
if
right?
people take that check, you have a second stab at it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, one of the issues with insurance is that a lot of their money is spent on marketing. I mean, insurance marketing is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You see Super Bowl ads for insurance
Mhm.
companies, and they tell you things, and I'm not saying this to pick on any particular insurance company, but like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. You're in good hands with Allstate. People believe that. They see that. It's ingrained in them.
Mhm.
And so when they get a check, they're like, oh, the insurance company's doing right by me. But what you have to realize is they have an agenda. Now, I'm not saying that everyone in the industry doesn't have some sort of agenda. My agenda is to help people, but also to make money, because that's my
Right.
business.
Mhm.
I'm not going to hide that. But my agenda is always first and foremost to the client, and that's not the insurance company's agenda. So if you're getting a payment from an insurance company right off the bat, there's probably more to be had. You just have to
I know, we
hire
did.
someone.
I think we got.
I
got a
know,
good
we
deal,
were
though. I
happy
feel like
with
we have
what
a good
we got.
insurance company,
Yeah,
and I don't
yeah.
even know if that. I don't even know if that. Who knows if that's true?
Right.
Well, I might know if it's true.
Farm Bureau.
Well, I'm not going to comment
Oh.
on any particular insurance company right now.
Is
But
that against the lawyerly rules or
no,
something?
it's not. But I also
Well,
I have a
wouldn't-
good
yeah,
relationship
yeah.
with a lot of insurance
I-
carriers,
I
and I
mean,
don't want to. I don't
What
want to
I
ruin
will
that.
say, what our experience was that called, they were quick, they came, we got the check, and
We got our stuff done.
yeah,
And you got enough to get
Yeah.
all of the work
Well,
done.
we didn't have a lot of damage, which
Okay.
I feel we
Yeah.
feel
That's
guilty
usually
about
helpful.
to
We're-
begin with.
we're grateful, but we do feel guilty.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what is the number one reason why people should hire you for
Hire
storm
me
related
or hire an attorney.
right, for storm related issues? Why do they need an attorney?
Why do they need an attorney?
Okay,
And
why
then
do you need to
should
why do you
they-
need to rephrase my
No, no, no.
question? I think my
Because
question
I'm an
was fine.
attorney.
I
No,
don't understand. Like
I
it's
think
like I'm
he's yelling
speaking
at me.
French.
He's
It's like I'm
yelling at me.
speaking French and she has to translate
I-
it to English
Oh,
so
I
the
thought you were
guest
yelling at me.
understands the
No,
question.
No, but it's why should why should they hire
Here we
an
go
attorney?
again. Okay,
And
let's
why
do
should
it
they
a different
hire you?
way.
And to
Yeah,
the
people
lady
can
that
understand
complains
my
about how
guess.
mean I am, I hope you're going to get on him. Go ahead.
I don't remember the question. Can you guys rephrase? No, I'm just kidding. Why hire an attorney? Well, ultimately, the most important aspect of resolving a claim is the leverage that you can develop. And there are mechanisms that insureds shouldn't be doing themselves. Public adjusters can't do themselves. Threats of litigation, threats of a potential bad faith case. There's a mechanism called a civil remedy notice.
What is a bad faith case? What do you mean?
So there's a mechanism called a civil remedy notice. It's an administrative complaint filed with the Department of Financial Services that places insurance companies on notice that they've acted in bad faith in some way.
Mhm.
And that allows the potential recovery for what are called extra contractual damages beyond that which the policy provides coverage for. Now, it's rare to get to that point, but if you can have leverage over an insurance company saying, look, you didn't adjust timely, it took you too long to make this payment, we've had to hire professionals, now we're out of pocket, the civil remedy notice and the potential for bad faith may allow them to take a look back and say, maybe we should resolve this claim. And that's not something that
allow them the opportunity to look back. Very well worded.
Why are people on Fort Myers Beach being hassled so much after all the crap they went through? It's baffling to me to listen to stories of people, from FPL to the water to the flood and fighting the wind. And now I need an attorney. And then they stand out and they look at a flat pancake of a house. It's just baffling to me that people just these insurance companies who are, in my opinion, flush with money, don't just freaking help them get whole somehow.
So
Okay, Pollyanna. Go ahead.
Maybe it is.
it's really unfortunate, and I hate to say it like this, but I'm going to be very blunt.
Do it.
The insurance companies don't see clients as people. They see claim numbers.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, in their defense, and this is the only time you'll ever hear me say this, in their defense, they have an understaffed claims department with undertrained people, and those people are trying to do their best. Most of them. Some of them are not. But that's no excuse. They should have better trained staff. They should have more staff, especially after
Shouldn't they be prepared for something like when this happens? Isn't that the reason they're there? It's like FEMA. I know you don't want me to get off the tangent on FEMA, but the way FEMA is set things up is people got approved for trailers on Fort Myers Beach, and they send out contractors to measure somebody's lot for a trailer, and then the person gets approved for a trailer, and then FEMA back in whoever knows where the hell they are says, no, they can't have a trailer. They're in a high velocity flood zone. So all these people on Fort Myers Beach who have no house to live in are thinking they might live in a trailer until some jackball in Washington says, no, we can't send it down there. It's in a high flood zone, even though they went through all the process. It seems like it's the same thing.
Well, FEMA, you're dealing with red tape. So that's its own excuse in and of itself. With the insurance carriers, they should be prepared for these things. What happened here, Hurricane Ian, that's a 1 in 100-year storm.
Yeah.
And
Or
there are
500-year. Yeah.
maybe more.
Yeah.
But there are contingencies for that. And, that's why they have to bring in adjusters from around the country, adjusters who don't necessarily know the laws of Florida
Or care.
who adjust claims in a way that they think Minnesota would be fine with,
Right.
but that's
Yeah.
not how Florida
How many
law
push-ups
allows.
can you do in 1 minute?
In 1 minute?
I knew
Yeah,
that.
1 minute.
Well, unfortunately, right now I have a broken toe, so I can't.
How'd you
can't-
break your toe?
Well,
How does a 300-pound man break a toe?
I
Did
was-
you
I
do
was-
something?
I was
Your
lifting
size, you
something
just cut the
very
fucker
heavy.
off. I mean, why would you need that?
I probably would have been better off if it had just been lopped off. Right
Look
from
at
the
you. You
beginning.
little got a sissy Band-Aid on your big toe.
I know.
there.
You want to see
happened
what's
to your-
under it? I can show you.
What
It's-
happened to
it's
that?
kinda
Did you step
gnarly.
on a nail?
No, I was building something for my son, which is why you have to
I
hire
see.
professionals when you're outside of your area of expertise. Had I hired a contractor like Mark Dorston of Dorston
Ding, ding,
Claims,
ding, ding. These
Yeah,
people are hammered by now.
So now, are you going to sue yourself for damages?
No,
Not for personal
seriously,
injury?
how'd you break your toe?
I-
Bill?
I-
What are you building? What
I
were you
was
building?
building an arcade cabinet for my son, and the back of it dropped on my toe.
Ow.
It sliced it about halfway off.
Nice.
But if you allow me to do knee push-ups, I could probably get to about
Oh, please.
50
They're
or
not
60
called
in a
knee
minute.
push-ups. They're called girly
lady
push-ups.
lady push-ups, please.
Oh, seriously. Did you cry when that hit your toe? I mean,
No, I didn't cry.
All
I
right,
cursed
good.
a lot. I screamed a lot, and I said to my son, "Go get your mother."
how old is your son?
He's 7.
Oh, and you yelled at him like that. Wow.
I didn't yell at him. I yelled
With the
to
Darth
him
Vader voice.
Did you go to the hospital?
immediately.
Oh.
No way, did you? Yeah.
Oh,
For a
yeah.
Was it
broken
bleeding
toe?
every- Well,
There's
it-
nothing you can do for a
did you need
broken toe.
Oh
stitches?
no, it was blood everywhere.
see.
Did you
Yeah,
need
it was sliced in
stitches?
half. I had to.
I would have
get
You know
passed
what?
out from the blood.
Next
Well,
time,
some people are just manlier than others. I
next
guess.
time use duct tape because duct tape will
Yeah.
do it.
Well, there's just two things everyone needs in life, right?
Yeah.
Duct
Duct
tape
tape and
And-
WD-40.
Yeah, I see.
And
Yeah.
a lawyer, apparently.
Well, that's only if the duct tape and WD-40 don't put your house back together.
Have you
So let me ask a question.
go right
When-
ahead. It's your show, apparently.
When someone is looking at, is there any way when looking to purchase insurance, like when you're looking at different insurance companies, how do you know which is going to be a good? I mean, should you look at how much the CEO is getting paid? Because if they're not getting paid so much, then maybe. Like what? How does that factor?
I don't know that I've ever thought to look at the executive salaries when figuring out insurance.
I think if theirs is like
good,
a
good one
reasonable,
note there. I like
that's
that.
Yeah.
it's not a bad idea.
What is the right salary for a insurance executive right now? It should be very low. And anyone that's
no, it
dealing
just should
with the
be
companies down
comparable
here.
with other executives. It shouldn't be outlandish.
Well, it should also be reflective of the
The-
amount of
the
claims
way that they're
paying
doing it,
and
yeah,
how well
yeah.
they're treating the communities. But that's not how it works in reality. What should you look for? You look at the declarations page and they give you a very bare bones piece of information at the beginning. And anytime a client comes to me and says, "Hey, what should we do about our new insurance?" I say, send me everything you possibly can, because the declarations pages do have some information. They have limitations on water that's becoming more and more prevalent. Not necessarily water from a hurricane, but if you have a plumbing leak, most policies now are capping your coverage at $10,000. And if you have a supply line behind your refrigerator leaking while you're out of town for 2 days,
Mhm.
you're going to have gallons of water in your house.
Yeah.
$10,000 isn't covering that. And unfortunately, the premiums are going up while the coverages are going down. And
Mhm.
nothing that happened in the special session in December where
Yeah.
the fee statute was changed, where some adjustment aspects of the statute were changed. None of that's going to help.
If anyone
Are
has
these
any,
problems across different insurance
let me
companies?
make sure
I
people
mean,
know they can ask our
yeah,
attorney
yeah,
friend
yeah.
here, Howard Cosell's son, any questions that you might have out there, just
Not
type them in the chat
Cosell.
box. This is free legal advice, right? Or is there some kind of disclaimer you have to give or something?
Yes, nothing I say here is considered legal advice. If you
there you
want,
go.
Because you're still in law
It's just
school. I
your
keep
opinion.
forgetting that.
it's just my opinion, and every claim is different, and that's the truth. Every single claim is different. I don't
Right.
care how similar they seem. There's always going to be something that's different.
Right.
So if anyone has any questions for me about their own personal claim, they can simply go to www.hurricaneian.law and fill out the form on there. and
Is
it
that
comes
your
right to
site?
me.
What
That's
about
our
Look
car
at
site.
you. How'd you
insurance?
get that site?
I got really lucky.
Yeah.
Usually I go and buy all the hurricane names a year in advance, but this year I forgot to. So I got
Dawn
lucky.
Dawn makes a statement that you'll need to let me know. Is this a true statement? Insurance companies suck. Is that a true statement or?
Sometimes they also
That's an
swallow.
opinion.
He said the F word. That opened the door for
No,
me.
I said suck. I
No,
didn't.
earlier.
Oh, I
You
did.
Earlier.
Yeah, I thought I slipped that one through the cracks there, but I didn't. So, how'd you meet Mark Dorston?
How did I meet Mark? I think it was just at one of the insurance
He
industry.
blasted
No.
a memory right in your mind.
No,
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 it
I
was at
think
one
we
of the-
just threw
It
him.
was such a great meeting. You can
I don't.
remember.
I've
so
known him
well.
so long. We've done so much together.
Yeah.
I have
He's
no
even
idea.
look. He's
No,
averting his gaze to the left,
Yeah.
which means
How
he's
many
trying
push-ups
to-
you think he can do
think.
in a minute?
Mark, he's a
Yeah.
superhero. He can
Yeah.
do 100.
Oh wow, Mark, you better hammer those suckers out right
No,
now.
I met Mark at the Windstorm Insurance Network conference.
Of course,
And-
I've
Wow,
been to
that
many of
sounds
those.
like
I
an
love those
exciting
conferences.
I actually do love those conferences. I'm on the board of directors.
Wait, the Windstorming Network.
No, Windstorm Insurance Network. I think it's the
Was that
largest.
in Las Vegas?
How do you market
No,
that thing?
It's in Orlando. It's the largest insurance.
I went to the Windstorming Marketing Conference. Do you remember
We're
seeing me
picking
there?
fun at. To let him say.
They're
what-
making fun of me, but
All
I'm
right.
on the board of
Oh,
directors.
did you see those
I'm,
windows
I'm
at
the
the
lead
Windstorming
presenter.
Marketing Conference?
let
I'm the
him-
lead presenter of the case law update, and I did this year the 4-hour ethics course for adjusters.
Wait, what could be a more exciting conference
here
than
we
the
go.
It's an
Windstorming?
absolutely great conference. The last night's casino
I
night.
went to the
We have a
paint
great
drying
time.
marketing conference. We all stood around in a room
We'll
and
just
watched.
wait. We'll just
The
wait.
color pink
We'll just
really
wait.
dried faster than the color red.
So what other? What about?
Come on
Wait,
here to be made
You
fun
shut his
of.
mic off.
I
Not
didn't.
mine.
I didn't come on here to be made fun of.
No,
You're
I'm
hurting
not
my
making-
feelings.
I'm not making fun of it.
I know.
So what about car insurance? Do you do anything with that?
I don't do anything
Okay,
with car
so it's
insurance.
just home.
Solely property insurance.
So,
Yeah.
well,
So-
cars are property, but what about an RV?
An RV is different. There is similar insurance product like homeowners insurance for mobile homes, and typically they have a much more strict coverage
Gotcha.
requirement, but it's there. I've definitely represented mobile homes before. So
What was the craziest call you've ever gotten to represent you?
wow. I'm dealing with hurricane claims. They're not that interesting. They're not.
You had
they're
to
not
think about
they're
that
not
though.
fun.
You were going to say something
No,
very entertaining.
I really have nothing. I have more interesting stories from the practice after the claim, just dealing with the opposing sides, dealing with trial.
Did you ever want to just?
Does anyone ever cry? Has anyone ever cried? Not the homeowners, because I'm sure I would be crying.
Have I ever made anyone cry?
Like the opposing attorney?
Yeah.
I did once tell an opposing attorney that he had to use his big boy voice if he wanted the court to hear him.
In court, you said that.
I don't think he
Nice.
cried.
Yeah.
In front of me.
Did the judge admonish you for that or no?
No, the judge couldn't hear him.
Oh.
Did you ever
Maybe the judge needed hearing aids.
No, he had to use his big boy voice.
Have you ever gone across and tried to grab another attorney because you start a fight in a courtroom?
What are you
Absolutely
running out of
not.
really good
Absolutely
questions?
not.
Would that get you debarred?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think it's just hard.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen in a courtroom?
Courtrooms aren't that fun. The craziest thing I've ever seen was when I was on the defense. I had someone attack me at an inspection.
You're 300 pounds and somebody attacked you.
He was about 350.
Wow. Why did he attack you? What did you say? Use your big
Who
boy
won?
voice?
Well, I'm an attorney. I had to behave professionally, so I backed away and I called the cops. And
This was in the court?
no,
Or
this was at a homeowner's property.
Yeah. I see. Yeah.
What did I say to him? I said, "You're not supposed to be here."
Yeah.
And he said,
Yeah. All right. So if people want to get in touch with you, what should they do? They should call you or go to your website?
our
That would be-
website, hurricaneian.law, not
Yeah.
.com, hurricaneian.law.
Mhm.
And there's a form on there. You can explore the website. I have a really nice picture.
Yeah.
It made me
Of
look-
you?
Of me.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And, the rest of the attorneys at my firm, we're a small firm, but we're
And your
team-based.
wife?
And my wife, and we have another
How long
partner
have you
and
been
another
married?
associate. Actually, I've been married 8 years as of Wednesday.
Very nice. What did you do on your
you
anniversary?
got married on
Valentine's
Valentine's
Day.
Day.
We got married the day after
Okay,
Valentine's Day.
was
It
Tuesday.
was cheaper.
Well, I wouldn't remember it because you didn't do anything.
We don't. Valentine's Day is silly. It's the silly, just like Halloween, silly. It's just another dumb holiday
Bah
to buy,
humbug,
but to
Scrooge.
buy
No
candy.
kidding.
It's so.
I
I don't need an
love
excuse to buy
candy.
candy.
If
I'll
I
buy
wanna
candy on
buy-
a
Me
Tuesday.
neither.
If I want to buy her flowers, I'll do it on the 14th day of any month, right?
And how many months so far this year
It's
on the
been a while.
14th day have you been?
We've
have you
been
bought
busy.
flowers?
We've been busy with the
Right.
show, sir, Mr. Attorney.
Go
So-
grill him.
So what did
grill
I
him.
do? What did I do on my anniversary? I was actually in Tallahassee.
Now you're asking
You
yourself your own
asked, no,
question.
you asked me that question. I'm keeping you on track.
Thank you.
I was in Tallahassee. My wife was in committee, and she got
Yeah.
to take a point of personal privilege and welcome me to the
Isn't that
Capitol.
nice?
It was
Aw.
very nice.
So I guess you and Adam Botana are all friends, and no, you don't know who that is?
Anna Banana?
Adam Botana. He's
I
our
don't know him.
representative in the state house. Man.
I don't know him. I'm
I
sure
do.
my wife does.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they
I'm
welcome
just a
But you're
spouse.
on the other
Yeah.
coast, right?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
East Coast.
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Yeah. So
You
so
said it.
now I forgot
Yeah,
my
it's-
next.
it's fun.
I forgot my next question. What was it, Dave? I forgot my next question. So did you finish building the thing for your son?
I did.
Okay.
I did. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And what
We-
was it again? A
It-
Lego
it's,
set?
it's an
An
arcade
arcade thing.
cabinet.
Arcade.
We
So
have
what's it got in
17,000
there?
arcade games.
Wait,
Wow.
what?
17,000 arcade games.
Are,
And we,
like pinball machines
no,
and Pac-Man?
No.
like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. But we play Golden Tee every night. You remember
Huh.
Golden Tee, the
Yeah.
golf game?
Yeah,
With
when
the
you-
wheel? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have all those like machines. You have.
I
you
have,
have
I have one
Pac-Man?
machine
one
with
machine.
a computer in it.
I
Yeah.
see.
And then it has
Wow,
all
how
of them.
times have changed. I used to go to when I was growing up.
Oh,
No
here we
quarters
go.
I
necessary.
used to go to the bagel store in Long Island, and they had a Pac-Man machine and asteroids, Pac-Man, and one other game. What was one other game? It wasn't
He's
a
too
pinball
young to
machine.
remember
What was
that.
what was
I
the
remember
thing?
all
I
games.
can't remember it. When they would shoot down at you, the thing would shoot
Galaga.
down at. Yeah, that was what was it?
Galaga,
No, that wasn't it.
Gradius,
Something else.
Space Invaders.
But and you know,
Asteroids,
next
that was
Oh, no,
asteroids,
no,
very
you're-
nice.
asteroids,
asteroids.
comes from all
Yeah, yeah,
directions, not
yeah.
just down. Maybe
And
Missile
you
Command.
know what I'll never forget? Next
No,
to the
we're
bagel store,
talking
they had a
I'm talking
Baskin.
70s, 80s.
They had a Baskin Robbins. Does anybody remember how many flavors for basket.
31. Well, you asked everybody.
Not after I got done with them.
31 flavors of Baskin Robbins, and this is how I got to be a fat kid when I was growing up. We'd go in there and we'd eat ice cream, and then you'd put your name in a drawing for a baseball. And every time you'd go in, of course, you had to have ice cream. And by that time, I was 300 pounds, but I was only 4 feet tall. And I'll never forget. I won a baseball. And it was the coolest thing. It's one of those things you never forget. I don't know why I haven't forgotten that.
But and
I
you
don't
also
either.
remembered
You
how many
forget everything
flavors.
else.
31 flavors. Is there a Baskin? What'd you say?
I said, I don't know why you forget everything else.
Including Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any Baskin Robbins left anymore. Oh, the good old
I
days.
think they went belly up.
They used to be with Miami Subs, which is now Miami Grill, and they had Baskin Robbins
Yeah.
in them. So
Really? All right. So
this is my
does
specialty,
any-
by the way. You
Right.
want to talk about law? I can do that.
Yeah.
Food.
Food.
We'll go
Yeah.
on forever.
What's
obviously.
your favorite thing to eat?
Oh wow. I mean, I'm a South Florida guy. I love stone crab.
There you
Yeah.
go.
How could you not?
He doesn't like seafood.
No, I'm not a seafood guy.
He
nobody's
doesn't like
perfect.
mushrooms. He doesn't like mushrooms. So last night
Tetris,
we
no,
go
that
out
wasn't
to
it.
eat, and he orders this pasta thing, and then he looks at it and he leans over
Last
to me,
night, Bahama Breeze.
Yeah. and he goes, "Oh, this has mushrooms in it." I'm like, "Do you not read? You hate mushrooms."
I hate
And the
mushrooms.
mushroom
Do you
said,
not
"Why don't you
read
like
it?
me? I'm a fun
Picking the
guy."
mushrooms
No.
out. That's how you keep your diet in check. You order something that has something in it you don't like, and you just pick at it. And I was, picking for the pasta. I thought it was chicken until I got a piece of the mushroom, and I was like, "That's not chicken." It looked like chicken, didn't taste like chicken. So,
They're
is there
too
anything
chewy.
else you want to tell everybody out there about representing them, or
Or any tips or
Yeah.
tricks, or not tricks, but
I mean, look.
could
mo-
anyone ever represent themselves? Probably not.
Could they? Sure. Could they do it as well as a trained attorney
Right.
like myself? Absolutely not. It's a complicated subject matter. And a lot of people think that it's contract law, and it's not. It's not the most complicated actual subject. It's building, it's construction, it's damages, things like that. But insurance contracts are such a nuanced area of law that not even a normal litigator can do this area of law. It has to be someone who is specialized in this area of law, and that's what we do.
So yeah, don't go to a general practitioner. Like you need an eye doctor for your eyes, or you need this for that.
That's right.
you
I
go.
am a specialist when it comes to this area of law. It's all that we do, and quite frankly, no one can help you quite like an attorney. I mean, public adjusters are great. They do a great service, like Mark Dorston from Dorston Claims. Take a shot.
He's looking down.
actually,
But they get to a point where they can't move forward, and that's when we have to get involved. And it's unfortunate. I don't wish that upon anybody, but just know that if anyone is in that situation, we're here.
It's not like you can go in there and do threats and intimidation and get anywhere. You can't cry. It's not going to work.
It's not about threats and intimidation. It's about knowing
Don't
how to
push.
push the buttons in the proper way, and doing it in a professional way.
Yeah.
The
well, I'm
attorneys
not
who go in
saying,
there and
yeah,
scream
go
and
in
yell
there
don't get
and-
things done.
by the
Yeah.
way, if anyone
You're not
goes
going
to
to threaten anybody's
If
life.
anyone goes to Dallas, Patty says there is a Baskin Robbins in Dallas. So if you're ever in Dallas, you can stop by the Baskin Robbins there.
Oh, and in some Dunkin' Donuts.
That's right. Debbie said they're in some Dunkin' Donuts. So you get some Dunkin' Donuts, you get some coffee. Don't they call it Dunkin' now? They don't even
Just
call
Dunkin'.
it donuts because they're they do. What do they want to cut the donuts part out? They just want you to go in. They don't want you to think you're going to get a donut in there. Why would you have a brand that you built up for like 50 years, then you take the donut part out? That's why people go to Dunkin' Donuts. They get a Dunkin' donut, right? Or the coffee.
I mean, they're
coffee
just,
shop
they just
is
have such a
good,
great
too.
selection of.
What are
of
those little
items.
balls called that the
Munchkins.
Donut holes.
Munchkins?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Munchkins.
Munchkins, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
Yeah. A big hand for Michael Cassell and Mark. Come over here, please.
I feel like I got about 3 minutes of law talk, and then we just riffed on
yeah,
everything
yeah.
else.
It's an entertaining show. We really
Perfect.
don't provide any information at all. But thank you
Perfect.
so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
Well,
And-
you can't really provide anything you say is not advice, right?
Sure.
So,
Now,
Yeah,
the
you
reason
can't
I wanted
talk
to
about
have
the law all day, though.
the reason I wanted to have Mark on real quick was because you're a sponsor of the show, and I was going to read your ad, but I don't have to read your ad because you're here. So tell people what you do.
Okay. I'm a public adjuster. I also do construction consulting with Mike with complex claims for like condominiums and commercial buildings, things like that. Right now, we spent all of our time before the show talking about denials and when you have roof damage Make sure that you get hold of us, because a lot of times there's attic and ceiling damage that the flood guys will just say, we're not paying for that because we're stopping at the flood line. The wind will come in and say, we're not paying for the roof, that's flood, or we're not paying for the ceilings. And Mike and I get the ceilings bought. We get all the components above that flood line bought. You have coverage that they will not tell you about.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can't get it, Mike gets it.
And just on that point, there's a law in Florida that says even if there's an excluded cause of loss, if a covered cause of loss would have caused a total loss, the insurance company owes you your policy limits. So when there's a flood loss and the insurance company says, oh, well, flood's excluded, we're not paying you a thing, there are still ways to leverage either a favorable settlement or obtain coverage.
And people shouldn't just take the insurance company's word and say, okay, you're right, I'm wrong.
But why don't, so you have wind and you have flood. Why don't the flood people pay to the flood line and the wind people pay for up to, on top of there?
Because it's more complicated than that.
Well, why can't we just make it simple?
Because then insurance companies would be paying all the claims.
I have a quick question, Mike.
Sure.
What's the fastest that we have taken a bare slab to full payment on a combo claim, on a wind flood claim? They denied the wind. You and I worked one. How long did it take you to get that wind paid?
Just so everyone's aware, results are not guaranteed on any case. All cases differ. And this is not any guarantee that I can do this for everyone, but it took about 2 weeks to obtain a full settlement.
You didn't wear your cape today.
I didn't, no.
What made that situation, without going into, whatever, go so quickly, so effectively?
That one had to do with relationships, honestly. Yep. I got a call from a representative at the carrier's office, and they said, look, we saw that you were on this file, and we wanted to reach out and see if there was a possibility of avoiding any further litigation, because, it gets expensive for everybody. Yeah. So relationships are very important.
And wait a minute, I would like to admit that it was an extremely well-documented claim with an excellent estimate, a complete contents claim, all the VPL. And when we handed it to Mike, it looked like a Valentine's Day present.
Was it wrapped up with a bow?
A little, and a little bit of chocolate on top, a couple pieces of candy.
I'm thinking that between your relationships and you getting chocolate, that claims that you guys bring to him are going to get moved right through.
We try and push everything as quickly as possible. Our goal is always settlement. Truth be told, we make more money the longer it goes.
Right.
But we help more people the quicker it goes. And then we get more claims from that because people know that A, we're honest, and B, we're looking out for their best interests.
So 2 weeks was the shortest, the quickest. You know what I'm going to ask?
What's the longest?
Yeah.
Oh, claims can go on for years and years.
And is that because the two sides what causes that breakdown?
So I can tell you that with a little bit more insight from the other side of practicing on the defense. A lot of times there are attorneys on the other side who see an angle and they want to either make a name for themselves or just see if they can exploit that angle. And sometimes one side loses, sometimes one side wins, but a lot of it is, it takes a certain amount of time to get to a point in litigation where the judge is going to entertain a motion to dispense the entire case. And if that takes 3 years to get to that point, because you have to depose 20 people over the course of those 3 years and fight over every little document that you're trying to get, it takes 3 years. But once the insurance company loses that, then they reevaluate and they say, oh, maybe this isn't as good a case as we thought. And it's unfortunate that happens, but it does happen sometimes. But if you have an attorney going in with a settlement-centric viewpoint from the beginning and not a viewpoint seeking glory,
winner take all. Yeah.
Then it tends to go a little bit quicker.
We've gotten since the last time I appeared, I've gotten a lot of calls from people with wind denials, and we're going out and we're getting the drone, we're getting the LiDAR, we're getting the Matterport, we're getting estimates. I was working on the list today, and we're getting a lot of people who the carrier has said it's all flood, no wind, or a very small wind payment, and we're getting those estimates completed, and those are going to move forward.
Are you guys getting money for people on Fort Myers Beach? Are you getting the money?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, hopefully when the storm is over, we could total it up and tell everybody how much you got them.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the money, right, Mark?
Well,
Ultimately, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so even if it makes sense, if they give you a song and dance on why they denied it, don't accept that
Right.
until you talk to somebody.
Right. And
who's
there's no
trained.
downside to talking to you because you don't charge people unless you get them more money.
right.
We had a classic case.
Hi, welcome to Wahoo Willie'S. Nice to see you.
We had a house that came off the stilts because of the wind.
Yeah.
The flood guy goes in and looks, and there's a water line up inside the house. Well, of course it did, because the
It
wind
fell
blew
in.
it off the
Yeah.
stilts.
Yeah.
He told the lady,
They're
look,
all in cahoots together. That's what's going on. They're
That's
meeting,
not
but
it.
yeah.
if you haven't worked a flood and you haven't worked a wind event and you haven't seen what the combination of damages does,
Yeah.
and somebody from
Don't get mad at me, Mark.
No,
I'm just
but
you're yelling at
you know,
me for crying
somebody
out
from-
loud. What did I do wrong?
somebody from New York, Long Island, comes down here and looks at this flood line and says, "Hey, you got an 8-foot flood line." And you're like, "But wait a minute, the house is sitting like this and the flood line's like this. That flood line isn't from the flood. That's from when it fell off the stilts."
You
Okay,
dumbass.
but
Come
aren't-
on.
Exactly. Aren't there like, couldn't they watch a YouTube video about something like that? Aren't there videos? Don't
Oh my-
these people get instructed in
Yeah,
how
we
to
don't have
do this?
YouTube on Long Island. I
Not
mean,
that
everybody
kind-
knows
not
that.
deep.
You did have Baskin Robbins though.
Not that deep. Have you seen YouTube?
No, no.
There's some really
All right, come on. We got to
minutious
move on
videos,
now.
though.
We got to thank you guys for
This is
coming
pretty
on.
far
Then Mark, how
into
can
the
people
skill
get in
set.
contact with you? I mean, I have your number here, but
I don't.
Oh
think
yeah,
that
it's
hard.
DorstenClaims.com, 850-276-7326.
that's not the number I have.
239-849-2949.
That's the number I have. 849-2949. Big hand for Mark and Howard Cosell's son, John Cassell. Thank you for coming on. What?
It's Mike.
Mike, what did I say?
John.
John, Mike.
That's
It's all the same plain name.
That's all
Come
right.
on.
I know why the name Kim comes first on the name of the show.
Of course, everybody
And when
has
your
to know their
toe
place.
heals,
Yeah,
when
come
you
back
toe
and do some
heals,
push-ups
Bring
we're
your
going to
son
do a
on.
push-up
Yeah.
contest.
No, we're
so.
not. We're definitely not doing that. No. All right. Thank you guys for coming on. Before
Thank
we
you.
get to our next guest, Scott Allen, who's going to talk to you about building a new home, we need to tell you about Alex King. Everybody knows Alex King. Alex is selling houses, buying houses. He knows about the 50% rule. He can be contacted by calling 849-3663, 849-3663. The King Family Foundation has donated over $225,000 just in the past 2 years to Fort Myers Beach charities. Alex has been on the show several times just giving away money, just flipping dollars and bills and hundreds out to people. And he plans to do that in the future. He's the #1 agent in sales volume for 6 straight years on Fort Myers Beach. Alex King. Call Alex a call. Give Alex a call at 239-849-3663. 239-849-3663. And in case you missed the first part of the show, the Shrimp Festival would have been held on March the 11th and the 12th. It is not going to be held because if you haven't gone over to Lynn Hall Park, you might have noticed that it's not really there anymore. There's no bathroom facilities, and the county hasn't even swept the sand out from Lynn Hall Park. So the restaurants are going to try and organize something where they have shrimp, the local shrimp available at all the local restaurants on March the 12th, and it'll end up at Moss Marine with a concert. And we'll keep you up to date with that on our Facebook page that has 75,912 followers right now, but who's counting? All right, dear. Bring it on back. The show's still going on. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, the yellow shirts are coming from everywhere. Scott Allen is going to join us now. Scott, another sponsor of the show. We appreciate that. Can we get a big hand for a local builder, Scott Allen from Allen Development? Come on in, Scott. Welcome to our little studio here. Well, how are you doing?
Hi, and Kim. How are you today?
Everything's great. Everything's great. Great to see you.
So first question, how many push-ups can you do
We
in a
can
minute?
hammer him out, that's for sure.
Well, I don't know. It depends. Probably about 2.
In a minute?
No.
No.
No, I don't know. I haven't
200.
even tried that day. Yeah, let's talk about your hair for a second. Do you know?
Nice
Hey.
segue.
Do you remember back in the 80s when a
Yes.
woman or a girl would walk by you
Yep.
and all you smelled was watermelon and strawberries?
Yep.
Like Salon Selectives. Where is that these days?
Salon Selective.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
have no
I
idea.
bought
what
it for
you're
my
talking
wife for
about.
Christmas, and she still doesn't use it. I swear, it's in our house.
What is Salon Selectives? Is that
It's
hair
it's a,
gel
yeah,
or some hair
it's a-
like
it's a
shampoo?
thing.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Where did you find it?
my wife found it,
I see.
and I bought it for her.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Hey, I know one thing. Where's the Aquanet? Anybody remember Aquanet?
Is that like the
Wow,
hairspray
yeah.
with the aerosol can that's
Yeah,
killing the
those are-
environment?
yeah, those are gone. You want to put a
it's the
lighter up to
aerosol.
those.
It's
Woo.
the aerosol spray and the cow farts that are killing the environment now, right? I mean, so Scott, what's going on with Allen Development Group?
Well, we just got done with a lot of remodels on the mainland as we anticipate getting really busy on the beach. We've got about 30 remodel permits submitted to the beach. So we're gearing up to do that. We just got done with 70 remodels right over the bridge on the mainland over here. So in 4.5 months to do 70 remodels, we're that was closed out. Now we're getting all our troops down to the beach to rebuild.
So how are you dealing with the 50% rule?
Well, we were navigating that pretty well with the 1 and 2 appraisal procedure, if necessary. And then we got the note from FEMA this week, and now we're not really sure what's going to happen with it. So we're taking every day like we were 2 weeks ago, and working off the appraisals.
This past week will not go down as one of the best weeks for FEMA.
No, it'll definitely not go down for one of the best for FEMA. You got Ohio, and then you got Florida, and all that stuff. So FEMA's got to pick themselves up a little bit.
Yeah.
Feeling the heat.
So if people are you building a specific kind of house or?
Yeah. So I want to put this out there because there's a lot of people that have been asking me, and I've seen it on your page on Facebook, and based on cost of construction, what are houses going to cost to build? So on Fort Myers Beach, you have 2 zones. You have the VE zone, and then you have the AE zone. And the VE flood zone is where you are highly exposed to tidal waves on, basically west of Estero over here. And a lot of the real estate east of Estero is in the AE zone. So in the AE zone, which is about 80% of the beach, you don't have to do driven pilings as a foundation. You can go with shallow. You could go with shallow footers, which are about 4 feet deep, and you build a pad and you build the concrete columns over there. So it's actually been, nice to price that out because it's a hell of a lot cheaper than going by driven pilings. But if you have to do driven pilings, we have.
You're talking way over my head. What are driven pilings?
Driven pilings on a foundation are what you see at Margaritaville going on right now with the jackhammers.
Okay.
And they're beating in
How
those.
How deep are they going?
They go anywhere from 10 to 25 feet deep in the ground. And what that does.
Right to China.
Yep, right to China. It doesn't allow a surge or erosion to come under that foundation and float the whole foundation. So, but right now we're looking roughly anywhere from $285 to $315 a square foot for a house. So call it 600 square feet, call it 3,000 square feet.
You can do
that's about the square footage, and that's with in-house, labor forces that we have. So we're trying to dial it down as much as we can for those that want to keep a price to what they can afford.
So if somebody lost their house or demolished their house on Fort Myers Beach, how high do they have to build?
So right now, let's just say Virginia Ave we're working on right now. They're in a flood zone of 12. They have to be at a 12-foot height. Most of their land that you stand on when you get out of your truck is 3 feet. So they have to go finished floor height, the difference between the 12 feet and the actual 3 feet above sea level. So that puts them 9 feet of finished floor height. Yep. So that I already added that in.
Oh, okay.
To avoid that one. But so the finished floor height, the tile that they stand on in their house has to be 9 feet above the actual floor ground of where they.
And so the new houses, it can't be any kind of living structure or rental. It has to be just storage or breakaway walls or something like that.
That's correct.
In your opinion, how different is this island going to look?
It's going to look a lot different. You're going to see a lot of affordability come into play with who's able to come back and live here. So I think you're going to see a big change in demographic down here for sure, and it's inevitable at this point.
Will they be families with kids?
Very, very challenging. If you're looking at an entry-level house, you're talking a lot and house package on new construction, 700 to 750,000 right now for what's available on land right now, and then you're going to see resales of houses, and they're going to be north of 700,000.
Scott, I was at the Beta Beach condos this morning doing a video. Right in between Beta Beach and Best Western were 10 cottages. They told me it's completely gone. They're all gone. They're empty now. What do you think will happen to a lot like that? I mean, there were 10 cottages, but they're small lots owned by different people. So what do you think will happen to a spot like that?
Well, same with Bahama Beach Club that I'm familiar with over there. Then they've had those duplex smaller structures that were out on the Gulf, and they do have that build back rule, but you also have to keep in consideration the CCCL line.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're unable to build on that CCCL line, you have to figure out on your property what you can build. And there's not going to be much leniency from FEMA to move that line at all.
Yeah, FEMA is not your friend. If you have anything to do with FEMA, I mean, just ask Tom
Right.
at La Ola. Now, I know you're helping Tom out in down in
Times Square.
No,
Bell
Bell Tower.
Tower.
And he's got it now. He's got to move his containers because FEMA's just jacking them around.
Yeah, I'm in possession of an email that Tom has from a third-party vendor that would come out within 48 hours of a storm warning, even if it's way out by St. Croix somewhere, and they will take the containers and move them off the island. That didn't seem like it was good enough for FEMA.
Yeah, he's got an evacuation plan, and we're not in hurricane season. You would think they would say, okay, let's give Times Square some life for the next 4 or 5 months. And Tom's out there busting his butt, trying to, not only make a living. I mean, how much of a living can you make when you're making food out of a food truck? But he's bringing some life to Times Square, and every kind of rule you can come up with. Now, if he puts wheels on his containers,
then it can't serve
then it's
alcohol.
okay, but you can't serve alcohol. It's like every time you turn down here, somebody's getting kicked in the teeth by FEMA.
Yeah, and I've known Tom since well before the hurricane, and he is one of the most
nicest.
progressive business guys that I know, as far as putting his money where his mouth is. When that guy says he's going to help the community by bringing a concept that the community can really do, he spends the money before he says, looks in his own pocket. So Tom has done some really great things. I hope there's a resolution on Times Square. I am trying to work with him as much as possible, because then he's got to, once he deals with FEMA, then he's got to deal with the town because of permits. So I think we can navigate through that, but he's got to get through FEMA first.
And so your Allen Development Group does residential and also commercial.
That's right. I'm a ground up real estate developer of commercial and industrial, but also a home builder for the past 12 years, from Iona McGregor to the beach and islands. So my office is right over the bridge. You know where my office is?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We've been there.
Yeah.
He also owns the man caves. They're not really called that. Island
Storage Suites.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now,
are you
doing?
Go ahead.
Can I just?
Yes, go right
are
ahead.
you
You're the star of the show, so go right ahead and ask a question if you want.
What you're involved in now, is it rebuilds of existing things, or is it new stuff?
Both. So
Okay.
I'm in the process of this week submitting 3 plans of home designs to the beach to master plan them. So from various sizes, 1,100 square feet, 1,500, 1,700, 2,200. So I'll master design them with the beach, which means that once I get my first permit, every subsequent buyer, I'll be able to get easy permits through the town for that. So we're going to be doing a lot of new home construction, but we've also got to get through our 30 remodels that are still stuck in permitting.
So you're also participating in the Times Square meetings, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
can you kind of give us some inside info on that?
Well, not a whole lot, but I can say that I am also on an advisory committee with the town for getting through the permitting process.
Keith
that includes,
Wilkins.
Yep, that includes Fort Myers Beach. They've been very receptive. Keith Wilkins and Steve Poposky, the building official, have been very receptive of the private sector's views and what we can do to improve the.
So nothing
process.
on Times Square. I
Not yet.
have a fear that Times Square is going to be the last thing that gets rebuilt, because you got Lee County over on one side, you got Lee County over on the other side, you got the town that owns the road, and you got
all
several
these different-
business owners. Did you hear that? I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe you know, because you have more contacts than I do. That Terry Prasad bought the Dairy Queen.
I did not hear that, but that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Because he owned the Sunset Grill,
Yep.
and so
Now,
did you hear that, dear? I know you
I
get
did
work.
not.
Did you work your contacts this morning to see if that happened? I mean, maybe I just made that up. I don't know, but it's
Well, you're going to see an argument from real estate owners on the beach that are going to be fighting for air rights, and that's going to be a very slippery slope.
Wait, what?
Because
Air rights?
Air rights. So
Like
instead of
just-
going 3 floors, right now you can go 3 stories over flood. So if the W Hotel came to town and they wanted to put up 30 floors, they can only go 3 floors above where the flood zone is, which means they have to be sprawled out to make it work, or something different. So
I see.
what you're going to see is you're going to see people make an argument that is going to increase the side setbacks on the buildings on their property, so
Because
they
they
can go
can't-
higher, because you can get a view corridor from the street. So as you're driving, imagine large alleyways between buildings that you can see the beach and everything, which would certainly go higher, and it would affect the view from coming over the Matanzas Bridge. But from a road standpoint, it makes sense. So I see both sides of that story, and that's
So
gonna be an
wait.
argument
So
coming up.
what do you think the resolution is, to allow them to go higher?
Man, that's one meeting that I don't want to be in.
Because right now the highest you can go is 3
stories over
above flood.
Yep.
But what FEMA's making everybody do is start at 17 feet higher.
Yeah. Yep.
So
3 stories over that.
3 stories over 17 feet.
Is
Which-
how much total?
It's still going to have people. I mean, what's considered a floor?
How many feet?
I believe it's 45 feet. So it's a maximum of 45 feet above above that 17.
So the argument is going to be you're making us start 17 feet. We should be able to go
higher.
5 floors or whatever.
Yep. As long as we shrink the side setback to increase the view corridor from the street to the beach.
So not many, because it's just between us 3. Nobody really watches our show. I mean, what do you think the resolution should be? Like, how high should those? I mean, how can you have to be able to make money at the end of the day? The price of real estate so high, and
well, if you do it for one person, you have to do them for all. That's the problem. There was talks about selective properties getting the air right, and I said that's probably going to be a non-starter. You get tomatoes thrown at you.
Well, you mentioned coming over the Matanzas Bass Bridge. I mean, there's Margaritaville's there. I mean, they're locked into what they're locked into, unless. Well, I guess if you change it for somebody in the future, then why shouldn't Tom be able to go back and say, wait a second now, I stayed within what I was supposed to stay within, but you're allowing somebody new coming in to go higher because, it's going to be a
rules
cluster.
always change. We just don't have the infrastructure here to handle 58-story high rises all over the place. We just don't.
Right.
So that'll be a
How deep would you have to drive a pile to support that?
To China.
There you go.
For sure. And we'd like
won't
to.
you hit water before that?
Yeah, you definitely would. It would be. I don't know how they would do it. They would make it. They would do it, but I'm not sure it would be cheap.
No, but seriously, how high should they be able to go? If you were the king of the universe and could make this, like Dan Allers is the king of the universe and can make that decision, what would it be?
I still think it's 3 stories over flood. I think
keep it at that.
I think the basis has to be Margaritaville.
Oh,
and,
look, you got
to.
You're playing to the
so
crowd.
when you run for the town council, look at all your new votes.
I heard 3. Can we go 4?
Or the LPA. There you go.
But yeah, I think 3 stories over flood is where I consider the max.
So that would be the highest a building would ever be. Would be how high?
45 feet over flood. So call it 60 feet total
60
tops
feet.
from the ground.
60 feet from the ground.
Yeah. So if you want to, should we segue into school? I got some stuff to say about the school. Do you want to hear a little bit about the school?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I've got a really good relationship with the Donald's family, Eric and Byron, and Erica's in charge. Erica's doing some really good things with charter schools around the country, specifically Florida. We can basically rule out a charter school right now. And
really?
Yep.
Why?
And the reason why is it's very simple math. If you spend $20 million on a charter school, you need 1,000 students. If you have a $5 million school, you need 250 students. So the math right now on the beach does not work. Doesn't mean it can't in the future. It just doesn't work for a charter school, even with the state providing $8,400 per student per year to do the carrying costs. If you use an example like Oasis Charter School in Cape Coral, right? They're self-sufficient. They're running on their own. Where they're having major problems right now is their operating expenses. And the reason why is that building was so expensive. Now they're having to start paying debt on that building and they're in trouble. Then you go to Boca Grande's charter school. They got massive donations for the school. That's the only reason they're being able to float themselves. So a charter school is going to be very tough to do.
But that really hasn't been an option on the table to this point yet.
It's been an option that has been explored.
I see.
Because it has nothing to do with the Lee County School
So
Districts.
we had Monica and John Koss on the show. I think it was Wednesday night or Thursday night to talk about the school because the school board is going to be looking at it on the 22nd and then voting on an option in March on what to do with the beach school. And I feel like the only serious option that they have is B. Like some people are pushing for C, which is like the Cadillac. They're not going to get the Cadillac.
Right.
Why doesn't everybody just get behind B?
I can tell you that I spoke to enough school board members this week to have a quorum. And they all support, a lot of them lean towards, not fully support, they lean towards option B. And the reason why D is is it
There's
C?
only A, B, and C.
A, B, and C, the $20 million one?
Yeah,
The 20, okay.
C is 20 million.
So imagine them putting up $23 million.
Yeah.
And the beach cannot get 150 enrollments. And they got egg on their face, and they got to go back to the constituents of Lee County and say, "Hey, I just squandered $23 million. It's just not going to happen." So option B, you're right. That's the most pragmatic option on the table right now that I think is.
And option B is 7 million, 6.7 million, where they get they're going to redo the historic building, which is something they have to do. It's federally required. They have to do restore the historic building, and then they get trailers.
Yeah, they get temporary trailers for learning, and they can also
Will they partially build a new building or not?
Yeah,
That's-
they'll part. No, I think
That's
everything
C.
but the historic. Yeah.
So, and what really needs to happen is the community needs to prove they can come up with more kids.
Yeah. So
And that's going to be a challenge.
the good thing with school choice is that you're going to have a lot of new employees. Let's just start with Margaritaville, how many employees they're going to have. So imagine the amount of parents or single parents or whoever that are going to be able to take school choice at Fort Myers Beach and bring their kids here, work here, drop their kids off instead of working here and having to go 45 minutes away in Cape Coral to get there. So that's going to be probably driving enrollment. But I think I honestly think the best option would be to go to the superintendent of the school board and say, gift us this property at a very low cost. And let us use that property as collateral to go get a bond or debt to build our own school.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
I don't think I've heard anyone say that. So you're going to bond your own school.
Yeah.
And how are you going to run it?
Well, there's things called micro schools. You don't even have to be Lee County School District. You can hire your own. It could be remote and virtual for now, and you can have administrators. If you look at the mini school concept, it's too much to talk about right now, but I think that's also a very good option that Fort Myers Beach can go to because it's not affiliated with Lee County School District. You can have your own curriculum, your own teachers, your own staffing without the district on your back. It would be Fort Myers Beach owned school.
So is there enough investment money on Fort Myers Beach to make that happen? What would it cost per year?
I would go after business owners for sure and donations and all that kind of stuff to help out with the capital costs up front. But I think your carry costs.
I don't think that's going to happen, Scott.
I don't know. You never know. We could do an annual
how much would it
fundraiser
cost
at the
a
man
year?
caves.
How much would it cost per year to run a school like that?
Well, from the state, you would get $8,000 per student. So you got that. And then you'd probably have $500,000 in carry costs between the salaries and
so 500,000 to run a school for how many kids?
Well, let's start with what the beach had and say, call it 60, 70, and you grow from there. And you leave enough property on the grounds over there to build an additional building.
Now, let me throw this at you. The Lee County School District owns how big is that property? A couple acres?
3 acres.
3 acres of property. You want them to give it to you for $1 when they could probably get
7 million.
Yeah, 7 million for it. You think they're going to give it to you for $1?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but there's going to be a conversation that's going to be had that the board and superintendent and people on the beach are going to talk about a lower than market value exchange. We'll put it that way.
Do you really think anyone on Fort Myers Beach would sell property below market just because they're good guys?
Well, they don't live on Fort Myers Beach. It's the school district that owns it.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
When they're a $2 billion conglomerate, $7 million could come in handy. You can buy a lot of number 2 pencils with.
You heard it here first that the conversation is going to be had.
Wow. So I think, and nobody cares what I think. So, I mean, I do. I care what I think. I think that if the community rallied behind B and just lobby for B and forget about C, that could be. Now you have the ability to prove that you can drive the enrollment. And I think that's really all they care about. Is the school district has been pecking at the door about that school, trying to figure out ways to close it because the enrollment has been coming down. And the storm has given them a perfect opportunity to do it. They have money there that they're supposed to be using to clean the school and fix the school that they're not. And now, if you could just get everybody behind B and get that through, will Jada Langford vote for B?
I'm not sure if she would vote for B.
I thought
but
you just said you interviewed everybody.
I can't go on the record and reveal my sources. It could have been
she's a
someone
public
else.
school board member, which I heard she will not.
If you support option B, you'll get a lot of support. And by the way, they all have said they hear all your voices and they are listening. So
for sure,
for those that
doesn't mean shit though. That doesn't mean they're going to vote for it.
I know, but I think option B, you're right. Of those options that are on that list,
because A is suicide.
Yeah,
I mean, A means the school's going away.
Yep.
And C, I just don't think that C is realistic. So, I mean, what do you think, Dave? B? Are people getting behind B? I think we just got to get everybody, including the ad hoc committee. Everybody on that committee needs to be in line.
I like B. Yeah.
So, I mean,
like
I don't know anything, so don't listen to anything I say.
But it's going to be exciting. You know, the vote is March 7th. So, everybody tune in.
We know for sure it's going to be on March 7th.
March 7th.
So the 22nd of February will be when they kind of review the options and hear from is the superintendent on board for B?
I haven't heard directly from him, so I don't know the answer to that.
Is Byron on board for B?
We didn't discuss the options with Byron.
You're working on Byron for something else, I see.
maybe.
How can people get in touch with you to talk about building a home for them?
Yeah, let me just put this up while I'm doing that. So
Yeah, for sure.
You can. This is the if anybody wants. This is the style home. Over there on the camera. There it is. That we're going to be building. So whether it's 1,200 square feet or 2,000 square feet, they all look very similar, just in a bigger box.
All right. So what do you got on the bottom there? Breakaway walls, storage?
No, those are just columns. There's no breakaway walls.
Okay.
Those are columns. You could park underneath the house with utility.
There, that's our new house. Look at it right there.
That's the new one.
I mean,
but all concrete block all the way to the roof line.
We're gonna have to start a GoFundMe to get the property, though. That looks nice, man.
That's our house, and you can come see our samples of cabinets and trim at the Man Caves. That's where my office is on Pine Ridge Road. But you can reach me at 239-872-5107 or go to allendevelopmentgroup.com.
Thank you so much, everybody. Big hand for Scott.
Thanks,
Allen.
everybody.
Thank you for sponsoring the show, and thank you for coming on. We appreciate Scott very much. And before we go, come on back, dear. Let's finish up the show so everybody can get back to their lunch and have a great day today. It is a nice day on the beach, everybody. It turned out to be a beautiful day. The sun has come out. It's a little bit breezy, but it's not 32 degrees or it's not 12 degrees. I had somebody watching the video from Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh,
When I read Fargo, North Dakota, I had to put my hoodie on. Because you just
they can hear you in Fargo. You've got that thing cranked up so loud now.
Sorry.
Wow.
Use my inside voice.
Use your big boy inside voice,
Eddie. All right, before we go, if you watched the show last week, you saw Laura Sanchez on.
Yep.
And she was a ball of fun. And she's got millions and millions of dollars to give away. If you want to build a Scott Allen home, after you talk to Mark Dorston and get your insurance money from the scammers, then you're going to call Laura Sanchez and she's going to give you millions and millions of dollars. She just walks around with wads of money in their back pocket. And you can give her a call today at 239-895-0657. And she was fabulous guest last week.
She was a hoot.
Very political.
She was a
She'll
hoot.
help you out with the 50% rule. And then she'll just give you $1 million. No questions asked. I mean, it's just free. You just keep it all. I'm just kidding. I'm sure there are some strings attached. You might have to pay it back. 239-895-0657. Well, that was a spectacular show, dear. I appreciate the fact that you brought your A game today, because sometimes you're not that entertaining. But today, you were spot on.
Was
you
I
were just
funny today? Yeah.
like a home run, just right out of the ballpark. Yeah. Is there anything you want to say to your millions and millions of fans before we sign off?
I think you covered everything.
Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll be back Monday night with the mayor.
I've forgotten it now.
Oh, we got some people that might want to buy some shirts. So
Oh, there you go.
we'll be back Monday night for another episode of Mondays with the mayor.
Yep.
And who knows? We might have other shows. FEMA will do something stupid next week, so there might be a need for another show. There's always two things that you can count on. The sun will come up, and FEMA will be a dumbass.
My Lord, stop. Listen.
Say it with me, everybody. Thank you, Patty. And your shirt is coming. I typed in the right address today. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we'll see you.
Yeah. With the right postage.
Right. Well,
That
you
makes me
undercut the
mad.
postage.
No,
You made
by
the mistake about that.
1/10 of 1 ounce.
Can we have a big hand for Wahoo Willie'S, everybody? They do a great job.
Thank you. Thank you for putting up with him.
Thank you. I'm going to go do some
All right.
push-ups.